Hey, this is Brian from Girard, Pennsylvania, and also known as Mr. Brianiac on the Marx Train user group. And there was a question about some accessories and some train crossings and some train signals, and I wanted to give a little explanation of how these things work because I know there's a lot of people that are maybe new to the group or new to the accessories or Marx toys in the trains, and a little bit of explanation definitely goes a long way. And I like to use video just so you definitely see what's going on. But on these, the way these things work, you have two leads on the backside. And for the purists out there, this was a really beat up crossing. And I want to explain first of all what I did. And I refurbed this a little bit, obviously. Whoops. So much for the new paint job there. But anyways, what I did, I'm going to do a close. You see, obviously that's not stock. I had trouble. I didn't want to pull this whole thing together, or excuse me, apart, to load up a new spring on the axle that hinges on. So what I did is I added ballast. And again, aesthetically, from here, it looks okay. But all I did was use a yeah, a cap screw here, a socket head cap screw. I put a big nut in here and some washers. And what I did is I created ballast for that to stay up. Because again, I didn't want to try to disassemble the whole thing. I would have made a bigger mess of it. So rather than loading it up with a spring, I created ballast until it was at the right point. You see there, it's just at the point of overcoming, staying up. And I added a washer at a time, and that big nut obviously through the middle. And if you're someone that wants to keep it original, this is definitely not the way to go. But you'd have to hack the whole thing apart to get a spring on that axle the way it was originally designed, and then they actually pinned. It's hard to see here in the video, but they mashed down the pin, so you'd have to cut that apart to fix it. So there is another way to fix these, and adding ballast to the backside is definitely a way to go. Okay, so that worked out pretty good, and then I sanded this all down, taped off the crossing areas and the marker here, and just painted the rest flat black. And this was a Krylon flat black. Besides this one little corner here, it came out really good. Has just a little bit of sheen to it, like a lot of Marx does, but it's mostly flat. Okay. Now on the bottom, the small wire, and again, anyone who's familiar with Marx accessories, the wires they use for connection are very small. They come directly off the winding, so they're very, very small. And this thing basically, like another one of my accessories, one of my switch tracks, the insulation towards the end just turned to dust and the wire broke off. And what I did is I took a 22 gauge, a red or pink, if you will, fork terminal, and I really mashed it down on the wire. And this was nice because it made virtually no mess of the aesthetics of this thing, and it's flat enough where the signal sits flush. So you don't want to put something big on there where the thing is, lopsided because of your repair. So just use a fork terminal there for repair. And one of the questions is for the solenoid is how does the wires hook up? Well, basically, one wire, the hot side goes to your solenoid, and the other one just goes directly to the frame of the unit, and it energizes the solenoid right through the frame with the other wire or your neutral side. Okay, it's very simple. So there's no wire on that side. If anyone had a question about that, I think there was, and you just hook up that hot side, and right through there's a hole. You can see the wire goes to the solenoid. Okay, and I'm going to hook up my homemade power supply and show you how this thing works. And I built that power supply just for testing purposes. Okay, here is the back side of our signal, the crossing signal, and you can see I'm just touching these leads on here to show you this. It works great. It works fine. And basically the stock sets came with a little rail insert, if you will, it was insulated. You placed over a rail, and it created the conductivity through the train wheels and actuated the gate. And I'll show that here in my next little clip, how that little snap-on rail connector uses the train voltage. But this works fine, repaired pretty easily. And again, that's the nice thing about Marx stuff. It is very simple and very durable. So I'll show you that. I'm going to fire up the 999, and again, you have one wire here coming off the track. A single clip would work. I'm just using a double here, and over here, again, once the this is in that insulated track rail, once the wheel touches this rail, it's going to have conductivity through the car, and so you have your hot and neutral basically going to the crossing gate. So I'm going to fire it up, and here it comes. You see, as long as the train is on that rail, any part of the cars, it's going to hold that crossing gate down. And again, I just kind of threw this layout together, so it's not too darn fancy yet, but that works pretty neat. So I'm Brian. I hope this helps.